guys, thank you so much for coming back for another video. My name is Casal, and on this channel I talk about everything love, marriage, and travel. And today's video is definitely one that's going to be near and dear to my heart because it is all about our children. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, then you wouldn't know this, but we are a military family. My husband is the active duty member in this family. And there's a lot of sacrifices that come with being in this kind of a lifestyle. And it's so important that we take the time to talk about how these sacrifices affect our kids, because a lot of the things that are associated with military lifestyle is a lot of moving, which is definitely true. And moving can affect our kids in so many different ways, you know, because if they're constantly moving every few years, it might be hard for them to make friends. If they make really good friends, obviously they don't want to move away from those friends. They want to, you know, be with their friends and stuff. It could cause depression, and it could cause like so many other things in our kids. So definitely moving is one of those things that is a hard thing to navigate, but it definitely goes along with the lifestyle. Another thing that goes along with this lifestyle is deployments, and it's kind of inevitable, you know. If you're in long enough, you will see a deployment, and that definitely takes a toll on our kids in so many ways. It's just important for us as parents to really pay attention to how our lifestyle affects our kids so that we could be ready for anything that life throws at us. So if you've seen any of my videos before, I kind of talked about deployment and kind of what's gotten me and my family to the point we're at right now. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna glaze over it just a tad bit because it's definitely important. So let's see. Okay, so last year we were living in Florida and my husband got orders to Virginia. We moved him in July, and myself and my daughter decided to stay back because of school and some other obligations that we had. And so we lived apart for 5 months, and then we got married in January. In a few days after we got married, he left for deployment, and then and he just got back in August of this year. So there's a few things that happened within that time frame. Kylie started school, she started kindergarten, she lost a bunch of teeth. She had surgery. We moved from Florida to Virginia. We got a place and some other things. But those are some of the major things that happened in that time frame of when we was living separate and my husband went on deployment. So with all that being said, there was a lot of changes that happened for our family. And because of those changes, that did affect my child. There was 3 things that stood out to me about her behavior that at the time I didn't really think it was deployment related or separation related or anything like that. I just pretty much checked it up to, okay, she's a kid, and you know, kids will be kids kind of a thing. It wasn't until I was reading up on it until it actually clicked that it was related to deployment. So let's get started. The first thing that I noticed that had changed in her was her focus, or her ability to focus when it came to school, which pretty much slacked. So when we were living separate, Kylie was starting kindergarten. In the 5 months that we was living apart, Kylie had started kindergarten. And one of the complaints that I kept getting from her teacher was that she was not focused in school. And like I said, at the time, I just checked it up to like, she's in kindergarten, like it's, you know, it's kindergarten. Like, what can I really do? However, if I thought long and hard, I would have remembered that she's been in some kind of a school since she was 1. And basically the schools that I had her in were accredited schools. So basically they were getting her ready for kindergarten. She would learn her ABCs, numbers, colors, and all that good stuff. and there was definitely structure in there, and I never had any issues with her not focusing or anything like that. So for me to chuck that up to, you know, she was just a kid, and you know, what can I do? That wasn't the right kind of attitude I should have had. But something so small like her not focusing, it's something that's easily could be seen as a kid just not being able to, a kid being a kid. But because of her background of having been in school since she was 1, I should have seen that that was an issue. And you know, the common denominator was deployment and separation and stuff like that, but it didn't hit me then. The second thing that I noticed that she would do is she would cry for one thing and say it's something else. So for example, she would, you know, if I had yelled at her for not picking up her toys when I told her to the first time, and she started crying, and then if I asked her why she was crying, she would say it was for, you know, because she missed Sparkle Face, which was her hamster who passed. So she would do that a lot, and I noticed, and I thought was okay, like a little, and I thought it was interesting that she would do that, and it really came out of nowhere. But that's the second thing that I noticed. The third thing was that she was extremely clingy, and but like more so than normal. I mean, most kids at a young age usually cling to their moms, but she kind of grew, she was out of that phase. Once she turned like 4 or 5, she wasn't as clingy anymore. But once we separated and we went back to Florida, she was extremely clingy. She was just literally, you know, like following me everywhere, going to the bathroom with me and stuff like that. And I kind of just let her do her thing. And that was also something I kind of just chucked up to, like, okay, well, you know, she just needs someone to play with and stuff like that. But the clinginess was a little bit more on the extreme side than usual. So that's the third thing that I noticed. Some of the things that I did at the time to help with the behaviors, and this in no way was me at the time knowingly helping with the behaviors, because I really didn't know that these behaviors was in direct correlation with the deployment and stuff like that. It was just that I mean, I know deployment affects kids, I know separation affects kids in some way, and but I don't think I planned for it ahead of time. I think I just kind of adjusted as I saw fit. So when I saw the problems, when I noticed some of the things were happening, even though I didn't know that they was directly related to deployment, I kind of switch gears to help get Kylie back on track. As far as school went, I just basically talked to her, just telling her like, okay, you need to focus, school is important, you know, like you have to get good grades. I basically kept reiterating that. Another thing that I incorporated into that was money for grades. So it's a direct exchange, right? So if she gives us good grades, and that's in everything overall, her report card has to be good, then we can go to Walmart and she can get anything from Walmart that she wants. And that's something that we continue to do today, and that definitely helped with the focusing. As far as her saying crying for one thing and then saying it was something else, I think that what I did at the time was I would encourage her to tell me her feelings. I would also call her out on it. So in that example that I gave, when, you know, I yelled at her for not putting the toys away, and then when I asked her why she was crying, she said it was because she missed Sparkle Face. I would say, you know, well, I don't really think that's why you're crying. Are you crying because of this? You know, how did it make you feel when I, you know, yelled at you? And, you know, just pretty much kind of go more into depth, ask her more questions to kind of get her to tell me how she feels. So I would just try to encourage her and talk to her. As far as the clinginess, I wouldn't necessarily say that that was a problem for her. It was more of a problem for me in a way, because, you know, during the time that all this was happening, Corona was happening as well. So, you know, we weren't able to do play dates. We weren't, you know, I wasn't able to go out with the girls or anything like that. Not that I have friends over there, but if I had friends, I couldn't go out with them anyway. So it was hard for me to kind of get my me time. So I made an effort to have her spend time around family. So kids that were around her age group. So like my nephew came out for the summer and he spent basically like 2 whole months with us, and that was great. And then we had another family member's kid come out in the beginning of the quarantine because her mom had to work and she had virtual school because everything was online at that point. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take her off your hands. I'll help her with virtual school just so that she can have someone else there to kind of hang out with her and do fun kid things. And that was great. She wasn't as clingy because she had someone else to cling to. She was still clingy, just not to me. She had someone else to cling to, and I kind of got a little bit of a break from, every now and again. So that was great. What I do understand is that not everybody's kid is like mine. If you are a parent that is going on deployment soon, or you're a parent that has an active duty member that's going to be going on deployment soon, you may see different behaviors in your kids leading up to the deployment, or you might just be worried about other things. So it's important that you take the time to do research and make sure that you are doing what's best for you and your family, because everybody's kid is different and there's several different things that can happen when a parent leaves for deployment. I did some research and I found this article that talks about deployment. It talks about the phases of deployment. So there's pre-deployment, deployment, and then post-deployment. So pre-deployment is basically everything like the few months to the days leading up to deployment. So, if your kid is of age, you want to have the conversation with them that their parent is going to be leaving, things are going to be changing, and kind of like explain what those changes will be, so that way they're not like completely shocked and like just thrown for a loop. You want to make sure that they're involved in what's going on as well, because I think that definitely helps the transition period to go a little more smoother. The deployment stage is obviously when that service member is on deployment, and there are definitely things that you and your family can do to keep in touch and just stay involved. Write letters, do care packages, phone calls, journaling. So there's a lot of things that, the family can do. If you guys want me to do a video about that, please leave a comment down below and I will definitely get that done for you guys. Okay, and then of course the post-deployment stage, like everything may seem like, oh, it's gonna be great while your service member is on deployment when they come home, because they'll be there, they'll be able to help out in the house more, they'll be around the kid. But there's a such thing as post-traumatic stress disorder, and that definitely can affect your service member, and it can affect how you guys communicate in the house. It's good to be aware of that so that way you can prepare. Okay, this article that I found also breaks down the stages of the kids basically into like age groups. So we have the infant, toddler, and preschooler stage. There's the school age children, that's one section, and then there's also a teen section. And for this video, I'm only gonna read the infant, toddler, and preschooler stage, and then along with the school age children stage, because that is what applies to me. Kylie was in both those stages. She was leaving one of those stages and entering into the other in that duration of when we was living separate and then when he went on deployment. Like I said, this article is basically about how deployment affects the children, our children. So the first stage I'm going to read is the toddlers in the preschooler stage. So it says, studies show preschoolers with deployed parents reveal higher emotional reactivity, anxiousness, depression, somatic complaints, and withdrawals. They may also show separation anxiety from the parents who remain, start throwing temper tantrums, or increase their severity, and change their eating or sleeping patterns. And then for the school age children, it says school age children with a parent deployed were 2.5 times more likely to receive high risk scores for emotional and behavior problems when the pediatric symptoms checklist was used. They were also more likely to experience sleep problems. And like I said, there is a teen stage. So if you have a child that's in their teens, you can definitely check out the link. I will post it in the description box, and then read more about it. The article also talks about the parents left behind. As the parent that is left behind, it's important that we are our best self, because when we are our best selves, we can then help our children to be their best self. So definitely make sure your stress levels are as minimal as possible. Take breaks when you need them. Ask for help if you need help. You know, do things that relaxes you, so that way you can be the best parent for your child. This article also has a section that talks about how to help children affected by deployment. It gives you tips in order to help you navigate through helping your child. So they also mentioned the pediatric symptom checklist. I will also link that down in the description box. So it's basically a checklist of different symptoms that us parents take. So you basically print out the checklist and see if your kid is having any issues with any of the symptoms listed on the checklist. And then if they are, you would then talk to your pediatrician about steps to take moving forward to help your child out. That is all I have for today's video. I hope you guys find this video informative. If you like this video and you would like to see more videos like this, please leave a comment down below. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.